Hey, welcome back. As you can see, I've been working on the piece a bit, or welcome, for those who haven't been here before. I'm Greg, this is Art of Cycling, and if I said in the previous video, we're kind of cycling is a little done for the year. I mean, here I'm going to turn this radio off. The Delta is still going on, but so cycling isn't done. I guess more accurately, I'm done painting cycling. With the possible exception of the World Championships. We'll see. But, point being, so I've taken that long break to paint the, I guess I did post during the Tour de France. So, one of the things I noticed when I was posting the previous video was that arm and all this line had kind of lined up perfectly, so it was cutting off the arm. So I thought I'd come in and break that up. And you can see I've lightened the blues in here. If you looked at the previous video, I think they need to go even maybe lighter. I laid some yellow in, probably shouldn't have, but that's okay. Part of this media and all painting is you build up layers. I say all painting. The most obvious exception to that is watercolors. Yeah, started to correct myself and didn't need to. So the exception being watercolors because they're completely translucent media, so you can't really build layers. Overshot there a little bit. So there's a slight correction in here. I've brought that dress line back in, or pajama line in, and so I'm trying to just help myself remember. Here's another. These are it's a wood plank floor in our bedroom, and in fact throughout our house. We have very little carpet, and in fact, although I'm indicating an area rug, we don't have them. One of the things Bridget talks about is many people call them granny killers because they're very easy as a trip hazard, either snagging a foot up underneath of them or stepping on one and having it slide away underneath of you. So, and then we have a little dog that isn't the best behaved around soft surfaces. That's who's missing from this painting. But I don't think she'll put it in appearance. We'll see. And that's the thing, like you watch this painting, she started out over here, she moved over, the arm was down, I raised the arm up. These were going to be the blue-green like they are in the drapes in the original. Didn't like that. This was more purpley in the painting that I'm sort of riffing on, but I set out not wanting to use that color. Ironically, since I didn't use it there, now I need it here. And the reason for that is your eye naturally wants complementary color. So because I have all the yellow in her dress, we need to work some purple into the painting. Purple being the opposite color on the color wheel. So there you go. And at this point, this is going to be pretty orangey red. So bluey green. I think I covered it up, yeah. I normally have like a color wheel written right here, but there is one on my wall over there. Roy G. Biv. Roy G. Biv meaning red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, or some people use indigo instead of blue, and that's where you get the Roy G. Biv. Get it? So, anyway. So now I just want to get this nightstand, side table, whatever you want to call it, sort of blocked in a little bit here. As I talked about it earlier in the previous video, the oil sticks, the paint sticks, the brand has changed their formula a little bit. And they are, speaking of translucent versus opaque, they are a bit more translucent. So I get into having to build layers a little more often. The white used to help with that, but if you don't want to make the color too pastel, then you don't really want to use the white. But you can see how that gave it a little bit of opacity. Yeah, it seems to be working. And of course, that's the shadow of the drawer line. You know, so the wood frame, the drawer slides in and out. I think we're going to add also the way you build it. So that was yellow, and then I added the white. This time, doing it in reverse order. Should get a slightly different quality of color. So you can add the same amounts of color, but get a different tone because of the variation in how you apply it. Looking at that now, I think the tabletop needs to be brighter. But I may do that on another pass. All right, so I'm going to switch again. The intention is to work on the hair, hand, quilt. Now, again, you see how this is, you can kind of see the speckle of the red. I originally did a red square, decided I need a little more detail in the quilt. This is somewhat based on a quilt that my grandmother made for my high school graduation. Both my grandmothers on opposite sides of the family, obviously, gave me quilts for high school graduation. I mean, what better gift, right? And treasure them deeply, although I, for that reason, don't sleep under them very often. In fact, I don't think I sleep under them ever anymore. And the thing you always have to worry about is, see, I got some of that blue from the hair in there. You want to, sometimes you want a little bit of polluted color. But as a general rule, you want to wipe out and make sure you don't drag one into the other, although there I kind of let it happen. Sorry, I'm laughing at myself because Bridget's fingers curl just a little bit. So I thought I'd put that in there. So case in point, this yellow has a bit of green on it. So I want to make sure, get that off. There we go. Barely a dried on there. And I just picked up some blue, so of course now more green on it. Oh, the problems we have. Yeah, it's a little better, shows that face a little more. And it'll pop even more when I lay the floor in there. So, and of course, the other thing is the other hand and the rest of the rug. The rug that's only here in the painting and not in reality. Well, it'd be even weirder if I had a pail in there, right? Okay, so I'm going to switch over now. So yes, now we're going to switch over to the time lapse and start working, of course, first on the hair. And this is where I'm going to introduce some blues and purples, more of the color balance to go with the yellow. And I was, at this point, working through the quilt, which of course you can't really see, getting those purples in as well. And the purples are there to balance the yellows and yellow oranges, which I'm starting to lay in the floorboards right now. Starting first with the highlight area with the intention of having shadow here. I thought I'd give you a better angle as I go back in and work back into the quilt area. And then you can see I'm laying this yellow over again, this pale yellow, trying to help make sure the translucency isn't bothering. I'm not seeing too much of the color underneath. And you can see even here that little green line still pops up a bit. So I'll probably have to come back and work on that again. Sorry, that's out of camera. But now the shadow area, the shadow cast by the bed on the wooden floor. So using more vermilions instead of the, excuse me, oranges. So you can see how that has a shadow-like quality to it. And of course back up under the, and then we switch back into the rug again. And I've gotten so confused with the spiral of this rug. I was realizing the color pollution problems, so I switched, did the hand, and then came back. Now you can notice there's a little bit of the ankle there. And right now it looks a little bit like the rug. And here's where I noticed that that purple was too much. So I'm coming back in and doing a striation, patterned fabric. The quilts I referred to, my grandmother on my paternal grandmother always did like crazy quilts or very patterned quilts. The other grandmother did very functional ones. But so this use of the pattern, and then I began to realize the purple was too much. So I start switching it to this blue-green tone. It sort of pulls back the color from the rug, and I just feel like the color balance works better. Of course, I've pulled in a chair now because this rarity, while I like to stand for all of my paintings, or squat as the case may be, or kneel, every once in a while when it's this kind of detail work, I'll pull in a chair. Now we moved on to another day, finishing up the rug, and you may notice I've gotten rid of that little blue spot of the ankle and just called it all rug. So we're just continuing to work. It's a bit tedious to work on this quilt, but nevertheless. And so we're getting this woven pattern, and it sort of activates that corner, gives it as much visual interest as the opposing corner. And here you can see the process of that. So laying in green, blue, and then coming back in the white. Now what I will have to do the next time I get back in the studio his work back again. I've been waiting, and they just showed up for more oil sticks to order them through Jerry's Artorama. And so they showed up after a couple of days. And of course, the other thing that's going on is Bridget's had that shoulder surgery, so I've been a little delayed getting into the studio. But here, this painting now needs a little, it's to the tweak stage. So here I thought I'd come in and get a nice close look at all of the detail. And you can see this is how it looks to me when I'm working on it. I'm not seeing that over, but I just love the stroke and texture, and that stroke really follows the form of the figure. You can see how we've broken the line. The tones of the sheets are much simpler now. It's not that stark yellow, a little more detail into the cup. And there's things I'm even looking at it now that I still want to play with. But that's the whole idea. Work on it, take some time with it, work on it. Now you can see how that ankle bone is going. I just think that makes it more readable. The quilt still needs some more definition. I'm going to come back in, particularly in these areas of the yellows that you're seeing tightly now. They need to be beefed up, I guess would be the way to put it. But you can just see the luscious, almost cake icing quality of the painting. So this is time to say, thanks for watching. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Love to know what you think of the painting thus far. And I really appreciate you watching. You can see all of my artwork at greigleach.com. There'll be a link. And again, this painting will be part of a new exhibition that opens in almost a year and a half. So again, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Remember to paint what you love. In this case, I truly love what I'm painting. Thank you all.